Hello, I'm Mike Huckabee, and if the Senate affirms my nomination, I'm going to morph into a diplomat and serve as President Trump's ambassador to the State of Israel. That is going to be a big change. But before the morphing begins, we still have this bully pulpit, so let's pull back the curtain on a world that rarely lets us backstage. I'm talking, of course, of big league politics. We're going to go beyond the surface of speeches and commercials and super PACs and look at how the sausage is made. I'm going to introduce you to Colin Reed. He's been with us before. We like to say he's a triple threat. He runs campaigns, advises people in office, and helps strategize for corporate clients. Colin, good to have you back with us, and I'm going to jump into it by just setting the table. We've got a new Congress, a new Senate, a new president, all coming in. We're maybe in motion for some dramatic changes in Washington. What do you think are going to be some of the big things we'll see?
First of all, congratulations to you and everything you're about to embark on, and the country's lucky to have you, and we'll miss you here, but looking forward to seeing everything that you're going to do in that important part of the world as well. And look, President Trump is bringing in a great team. This is what the world's greatest mulligan. So rarely in life do you have the chance to do something over the way the president is, and there were many successes in the first term, and there's going to be many successes in this current term. And I think the differences, Governor, between 8 years ago and now are just the enthusiasm, the optimism, and this idea that this country that has been careening around so listlessly over the last 4 years is back on track. The adults are back in charge, and there's people who are going to make good decisions, not just for now, but for the future, and really just right the ship. And there's a lot of work to be done, and there's not a lot of time to do it. I think the president knows that. I think he's got people around him who are well aware it's time to strike while the iron's hot.
I think you made a good point that it's rare that you get an opportunity to do it again. And sometimes a person gets reelected, but then it's just a continuing of what he was already doing. This time, Donald Trump comes in with some very different assumptions and understandings that he did not have 4 years ago and certainly not 8 years ago. I think it's going to be a dramatically impactful presidency. I look at the people that he's appointing. They're all disruptors. He is not bringing in people that say, hey, here's the oil can I've just been handed by Joe Biden. Let's go and grease up the machinery of Washington and keep it going like it is. We're seeing people come in with chainsaws and jackhammers, and they really want to disrupt the flow of things as it is, which I believe is why the American people gave him a very overwhelming mandate. Let's talk specifics. He's appointed a couple of well-suited business people, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, charged them with the idea of finding government efficiency. Now, that is an oxymoron in itself, government efficiency. What are the challenges they face, and are there some things that they can actually get done trying to find waste, fraud, and abuse in government?
I think it's really important, Governor, that he chose those two people from outside of government, because the old way of doing things clearly wasn't getting results. And let's be really honest, it's hard to cut things in government because everybody has something they like, and it's always hard to remove things. But at the same time, anyone watching your show right now, anyone who's balanced a budget in the private sector, in their small business, or even their family, knows you can't just spend more than the money that's coming in. And of course, the left's other side is always, let's raise taxes. Let's just extract more revenue from the hardworking people who earn it. And that's not the answer. The answer, of course, is cutting the fat, cutting the waste. And look, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, they've never been in government before, so they don't face those same pressures. Donald Trump and the Republicans who have been elected, they do. But President Trump also has a mandate. He's got 4 years. He doesn't need to face voters again. He can really make some hard, tough decisions that will right this country, because we cannot just keep going on the track we're at. At some point, all we do is just print more money for the Chinese Communist Party and their efforts to supplant us and take over the world as the global economic superpower.
Until 1972, America was on the gold standard. And what that meant was that all of our dollars were actually backed up by physical gold. We changed that. And as a result, gold actually became worth a great deal more, because it means that it's going to hold value even when the dollar, due to inflation, begins to shrink. It's one of the reasons that owning physical gold and silver makes a whole lot of sense for people who want to protect their wealth, who want to protect the things that they've worked so hard for their entire lives. Well, if you're going to buy gold and silver, I recommend you buy it from American Hartford Gold. It's who guides me on buying gold and silver. They're the only precious metals company that I would recommend. Now, you can call or text and request a free, no-strings-attached gold and silver information kit from American Hartford Gold. Learn how to protect your nest egg with a tax-advantaged gold IRA. And you could get up to $15,000 worth of free silver on qualifying purchases. So call them at 844-417-1010 or text Mike to 998899 for a free information kit from American Hartford Gold. Donald Trump has appointed some people that have given heartburn to D.C., people like Pete Hegseth at the Defense Department. When I listened to his testimony before the Senate, I sat there and I asked myself, if I were a grunt soldier in uniform, what would I think? And my thought was, I would be so glad to have a real soldier sitting in that chair, not some corporate puppet who is going to come in and figure out how many different contracts he can get to his pals in the defense industry. And I think it's that kind of appointment that bodes well for a real shakeup in D.C. And I look at Pam Bondi at the Attorney General office. We've got some folks that are really better prepared than the press is ever going to get them credit for.
Well, look at the current administration. Their resumes are longer than the day is long, and look at the results we've got from it, and especially in global affairs. Of course, there was the fiasco in Afghanistan that really, in many ways, was set the motion of events that led to the unwinding and the overall unraveling of the Biden presidency, because the American people thought, this guy's in charge and look what just happened. And that was overseen by the national security apparatus that's been in place with him for the last 4 years. So sometimes having experience doesn't necessarily make you qualified. And look, there's no doubt President Trump takes over at a time of great global tumult. But anyone who's working for, and this is the commonality, I think, as we've been watching over the last few weeks, some of these confirmation hearings, anyone who goes up there, they're speaking for the guy who won 77 million votes, the guy who went out there and said, this is what I want to do, this is why I'm running. The other side has their vision, and the American public broke decidedly in favor of President Trump. And I think, Governor, that's one of the big things. The popular vote is a big deal because the Democrats always use that to illegitimize somehow his election, as though he weren't properly elected. Of course, that's not how our system works. And between that and the Russiagate nonsense, they really tried their best to kind of just put sticks in the spokes early on and trip him up. He doesn't have either of those impediments this time around. Of course, he'll have a hostile mainstream media. The other thing, Governor, is the Democratic Party is just in complete disarray right now. They're in absolute shambles. They can't even get out of their own way. They're still arguing about whether or not Joe Biden would have won over Kamala Harris. It's ridiculous. And until that opposition figures out a way to get off the mat, and they will at some point, it's just clear sailing for President Trump, because there's no one in that party who's capable of stopping him at this point in time with the momentum he's got at his back.
Personal safety has become a major concern. So wouldn't it be helpful to have a new and easy way to protect you and your loved ones? Well, one way to stop the threat without having to shoot and possibly kill someone is available. Hello, I'm Mike Huckabee, and I found exactly how to have full protection without lethal force. It looks like a gun, acts like a gun, but it shoots chemical irritants and kinetic rounds, not actual bullets. The name is Byrna, B-Y-R-N-A. Now imagine being able to protect yourself without the legal or moral concerns of carrying an actual firearm. The Byrna is legal in all 50 states. No background checks are required, and it can be shipped directly to your doorstep. Most importantly, it's built to immediately stop an attacker without taking a life. The peace of mind you have is free. It's easy to use and doesn't have the strong recoil that real guns have, and you don't need ear protection either. It's assembled by hand right here in the U.S., fully trusted by law enforcement, and oftentimes it only needs to be shown and not fired to turn an attacker away. Don't wait until something happens. Go to Byrna.com/Huckabee and learn more about this effective alternative to deadly force. 500,000 are out there already, and right now you'll get a special 10% discount too. That's Byrna with a Y, Byrna.com/Huckabee. and don't feel vulnerable any longer.